Welcome to the YMCA. I'm Jamie Hanna. I'm so glad you're here for our very first fall prevention presentation. We've got a speaker is he on his way? Oh, okay. Yes, I'm here. Okay, great. Okay. So, we're off to an awesome start. I just want to say welcome, truly. Thank you for being here. And just 3 housekeeping. We just talked about the cell phone, if you don't mind turning those off or using them. And second is if you're not from the YMCA, welcome again. And the bathroom is right outside the door. And the third thing is we are really packed with information today. So on that note, we are going to save questions for the end. And we're going to run probably about 5 or 10 minutes after 12. So if you need to leave, please feel free. But we have a lot of information to get to today. Okay, our goal today is to increase awareness about falls through education, tips, strategies, and connecting you with resources that are available right here in Siskiyou County. And as you can see, we will touch on a lot of different areas of interest regarding fall prevention, and we're just going to scratch the surface today. I mean, we could talk about each one of these for hours. And so, oops, sorry. And so I guess we need to learn how to put this on. And, here's my glasses. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, except I can't get it on the right one. Well, okay, here I go. I don't know what I did. Okay, well, as you can see, we're going to touch on all of these areas, and we could go on and on in each of our areas of expertise, but we don't have the time to do that today. And so we also have a handful of presenters, and you've already seen one of them. We've got Cheryl Rushton here. She's the program coordinator 3B from PSA2 area agency aging. Say that 3 times fast. And Cheryl will tell us a bit about the history of PSA2, what they do, the programs they offer, the statistics about falls, hazards, prevention tips, and resources and equipment available to seniors. Next will be Jerry Lemos. He is going to tell us from his perspective as a first responder, how firefighters, the challenges that they face on every call that they go to. And then we will hear from possibly Dave McKinnon from Mount Shasta Ambulance. I'm sure he will be here. And he will highlight from a paramedic's point of view. Then Jake Williams, our very own fitness expert right here at the YMCA, will talk about osteo health or bone health. And he will speak about training in relation to building strong bones and muscles and how those movements can keep us strong no matter our age. Then I will finally close up if there's any time left with a little teeny bit about our behaviors and a little bit of behavior change strategies for creating our best life. And we truly believe that fall prevention is a team effort. And so we want to create, going down the road here a little bit, what we want to do is really create a fall prevention program that's ongoing, that includes exercise and includes all of these pieces to the puzzle. And we've got Andy from Siskiyou County Public Health. Yes, did I say that right? She's here to observe today, and they're probably going to join us in this little mini coalition. Jerry has said that he'll stay and do lots of note-taking at all the meetings. Just kidding. Yeah, he's not. But we really, truly are looking forward to making this an ongoing conversation. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Cheryl Rushton, who does not need a microphone. Try to remember to turn it off so I don't overpower you. So welcome, Cheryl. Yes.
Thank you for having me. My name is Shasta Ambulance. I am the program coordinator for 3B for the Planning and Service Area 2 Area Agency on Aging. The programs I coordinate is Dignity at Home Fall Prevention. We talk about the program a little later in the presentation. PSA2 was established in 1980. We are a joint powers agency providing aging and adult services in Lassen, Modoc, Shasta, Siskiyou, and Trinity. Some of our programs are home delivered congregate meals provided by Madrone Senior Services. Transportation is also provided by Madrone. I don't know if you guys have seen the bus wandering around town. We partner with them. We have a high cap program, which is health insurance, counseling, and advocacy program. So if anybody has any questions about Medicare, they answer everything, no charge, everything's free. They can tell you all the ins and outs of everything. I know everybody's getting calls about the Advantage programs, stuff like that. They can always answer all your questions about that. They are a local office in Reading, so you will get to talk to a person and not a phone tree. Our long-term care ombudsman program are advocates for anybody and everybody that's in a long-term care facility. If there's any problem or there's any miscommunication or there's anything that needs to be investigated, they are people that will go in and do the investigations. We have legal services in Northern California, which if any seniors have any sort of fraud happening, or like the ones that rent, if your landlord isn't providing the services that a landlord needs, they can help you, along with other wills, trusts, anything for end-of-life stuff. Our group passages is our family caregiver support system. They will support the caregiver because it's becoming one of the biggest essential jobs in the world right now. Everybody is either knows somebody or is somebody a caregiver. And the statistics for caregiver passing prior to their care recipient is between 40 and 60%.
Wow.
Yeah, so they are the people that support the caregiver. With education, support groups, they teach you how to take care of yourself so you can be around for your care recipient. We also provide disaster preparedness materials for anything, we've got fires up here, we now have floods up here, we've got all sorts of stuff, so we do have backpacks and stuff full of information to help you prepare to be able to just grab and go. June is actually coming up for our Elder Abuse Prevention and Education. June is Elder Abuse Awareness Month. You'll start seeing purple like you do with the child abuse stuff. You'll start seeing purple stuff because purple is Elder Abuse Awareness color, and June is the month for Elder Abuse Awareness. So you'll start seeing a big banner at our Starbucks, and we'll have a flag for every case of elder abuse in Siskiyou County for 2022. And you will see lawn signs with APS's number, Adult Protective Services number, and the Ombudsman's number. So if you have any questions or concerns, those numbers will be there. And then I think it'll be on the fair sign too, the rotating fair sign will also be there. We do a health promotion service. We work through Dignity Health Connected Living. They have a Zoom bingo size where you exercise and play bingo at the same time, and it's all on Zoom. So that's always fun. If you have any other information or any other questions or information you needed, you give me a call. We actually have resource directories in the back from Madrone, which is all the resources in Siskiyou County for seniors. I have some flyers for just fall prevention stuff. I have postcards for our fall prevention program, which is what we're here to do, and some brochures, plus our brochure so that you can take and reach out whenever you need. So falls in the home are the leading cause of both fatal and non-fatal injuries for people over 65 in age and older. Every 14 seconds, an older adult is seen in an emergency department for a fall-related injury. 60% of falls happen in the home, with 31% being in the living room and 30% being in the bedroom. According to this Center of Disease Control, 2018, California is 30.6% higher than the national average rate of reporting falls. California has an average of 40 deaths per 100,000 falls. Per the CDC in 2014, California spent over $4 billion on costs related to falls alone. Various forms of insurance do cover some fall-related costs, but not all of them. By 2030, it is estimated that 19% of the population in the U.S. will be 65 plus. That is over 71 million people, and as the number of 65 plus grows, we can expect the number of costs to treat these injuries to soar. 1/5 of the falls cause injury such as broken bones or head injuries. Over 800,000 patients a year are hospitalized because of a fall injury, most often because of a head trauma, most often because of a head injury or hip fracture. Each year, at least 300,000 older people are hospitalized for hip fractures. More than 95% of hip fractures are caused by falling, usually by a sideways fall. Falls are most common cause of traumatic brain injuries. And here you see the list of the many reasons older and disabled adults may experience a fall. Lower body weakness, vitamin D deficiency, difficulties with walking and balance, use of medications such as tranquilizers, sedatives, or antidepressants. Even some over-the-counter medicines can affect balance and how steady you are on your feet. Vision problems, foot pain, or poor footwear, and your in-home hazards. So there's some clutter, it's really dark. Some toilets are too low for anybody to sit on, no matter your age. Stairs, ill-fitting shoes, medication, cords, chairs. Pets love to be under your foot. Cupboards and shelves that are too high. Here are some things that you can do to prevent falls. Ask your healthcare provider to review your medications. Talk to your healthcare provider, let them know you're having any medications that make you dizzy. Exercise to improve your balance and strength. Continuously have your eyes and feet checked. Make sure your home is safer. And CDC can provide a list for safety checklist. We are pleased to announce the return of the Dignity at Home Fall Prevention Program, funded by the California Department of Aging. Each year, millions of adults suffer from a fall. Researchers have shown that 1 out of 5 falls result in serious injuries such as broken bones, head injury, or death. In addition, medical costs for all falls are $50 billion each year. Research also indicates many and most are preventable. The Dignity at Home Fall Prevention Program was established for the purpose of reducing the number of debilitating falls suffered by older adults and persons with disability, thus enabling older adults and persons with disabilities to live independently and safely in their home environment for as long as possible. Services may include fall prevention information and education, referrals and provisions of fall and injury prevention resources, in-home environmental assessment, instructions on behavior, physical, and environmental aspects of fall prevention, provisions of injury prevention equipment, services, and material. How you apply for this program. You contact PSA to AAA via phone at, this is our phone number, or via email at reception@psa2.org. Participants answer a few questions to determine eligibility, such as, have you fallen in the past year? Do you worry about falling when you walk? Are you at risk of being institutionalized? Once eligible, Everything Medical in Reading will contact the participant to conduct an in-home assessment to determine the fall prevention materials the participant may need. Everything Medical will install or deliver prevention materials and equipment once the participant is approved for the program. 30 days after the installment, participants will receive a program evaluation survey. Upon completion of the survey, participants will receive 3 nightlights, a grab-a-reacher tool, and a pill organizer. And this is our criteria. And that concludes my presentation. And as a reminder, we do have all the information at the back of the room. And this is your stretch break.
Hey, Jerry, that's you.
That's me?
Yeah, that's you.
Okay.
The handle on the recliner does not.
For the remote control. Hey, good morning. My name is Jerry Lemus. I'm the fire chief for the city of Yreka. I've been with the department since 1994. So for those of you who don't like to do math, it's roughly short of 30 years. I think by the time I'm done, I'll probably have 30 years in. We'll see. I don't know yet. Depends on how much other stress the city manager can throw my way. No, actually, we're lucky to have him. We really are. But, anyhow, so I want to thank Jamie, Hannah, for having me here today. It's an honor to talk to all of you. A lot of familiar faces. I see folks that I've seen in town. Mr. Griffithini earlier, I said his face looked familiar as this gentleman. So I've probably seen a lot of you. Could have even been to your home at one time or another. Hopefully not, and hopefully not in the future on terms where we have to say, okay, what happened? How did you fall? So prevention is the key. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. A lot of you have heard that axiom, in your years. But there's nothing more true than that. So for you being here today tells me, leave it there. That proves to me that you're interested in doing something to help yourself. That's the first big step. For those of you that just as a kind of have an interaction here, how many responses a year do you think Yreka Volunteer Fire Department is called on? Whether it's fire, medical, traffic collision, cabinetry, whatever. How many calls would you say?
100,000.
It feels like that sometimes. Sometimes, yeah, Dave knows. He goes almost all of them. Yeah. No, we're over 2,000 calls now for volunteer departments, gone from 45 to 50 members down to right for 18 now. So we're struggling with numbers in that regard to respond, but we still make it happen. We have agreements with neighboring departments to help us out. So we're not here to really cry boo-hoo and sound negative about that. It just seems like everything else is going on. There's just fewer resources for more calls. So in talking with different folks over the years about how can we reduce the number of medical calls that we get. So this is one thing that just kind of showed up on the radar when Jamie called and said, hey, what about this? And through some of the other avenues we've taken, we've actually worked with the hospital to identify some folks that needed more help. And it's a long process, but we're making headway in that regard too. So with regard to falls, they're one of the top 10 that we get. We get a call for when the pager goes off. Yreka City Fire, North Shasta Ambulance respond to this location for elderly, 65-year-old male with a head injury, fall patient, ground level fall. We get that. So we go find out what's going on, do our assessment, and it's either they're with us right away or they show up from their location here just north of town, and we package the patient and then get into the hospital. So we see it from time to time. We get folks that are there all night. They don't have any way. Their cell phone was another location. They're in the bathroom. They're in another part of the home. Don't have their cell phone. Don't have a medical alert. So with a show of hands, how many folks live by themselves right now? Quite a few. And how many have at least one other person lives with them, one or more? Okay, so it's half and half. So for those of you that don't have someone, I really recommend you get a medical alert device, through your insurance provider. They are a lifesaver. They truly are. The old axiom, I've fallen and I can't get up. Well, that does happen. And when you're there all night, Dave can talk about the medical effects, and it's not good. Most of which, obviously, if you have some sort of bleeding going on internally or externally, that you can't get the help you need. But we run into that a lot. Sometimes it's so severe we just package them and go. Find out later that they were there quite a while. So I got to watch myself because I tend to be a little gabby sometimes. So as was mentioned earlier, and you'll see in a little bit, the results of the injuries that happen when you fall can be depending on how far you've fallen and how much you're able to brace yourself, your physical condition that you're in currently. All those things play a part. But broken bones, broken arms, obviously the hips are always big and the ones that tend to be the most difficult to recover from. I think that the medical field has progressed a lot and has a better, depending on how bad the injury is, have a better outcome, and, as far as therapy and so forth. But the head injuries can be ones that you don't recover from, unfortunately. So, like I said, prevention is the key, and making your home safer with, like I say, with the pets and with the trip hazards. It's just easy things to do. But they're probably going to happen. It's just, gravity doesn't go away. It's the older you get. I'm a prime example. I've got a bad knee and a bad ankle. And I worry about my own self now. I'm not just preaching to you guys. It concerns me on my own health. So like I said, a life alert is a good tool to help you guys in that regard, so that you're not stuck there. But the key I would tell you today is help yourself first, and you're making that first step today by listening to some people that have had experiences. And Dave McKinnon from Mount Shasta Ambulance can tell you, we go on a lot of these. He goes all over the county. His area is mainly here, but he gets to all different parts of the county. And I think you said it was 10 to 15% of all your calls are fall related. Fall with a head injury or sometimes no injury, and sometimes, but if you can't even get up on your own, the longer you sit there, the worse it is on your body, and it's just not a pleasant thing to go through. So we're here just to kind of let you know that we'd like to see you guys continue working with Jamie and enroll in a program. Keep your core strength up, or develop it if you don't have much now. All the things that they will instruct you on are gonna help you, and have a good attitude, because it's gonna save you some grief down the road, no doubt. But my own mother was not very friendly when it came to trying to get her exercise. I was like, Mom, get up and go make your own coffee instead of having Dad bring it. Nope, I don't want to do that. So, she was just stubborn. But I can tell you that having this kind of program is pretty amazing. I think it's awesome that something that the community can provide, so. Anyway, I'll be glad to answer any questions you have at the end, and I'll stick around for that, but thank you for listening.
Can you tell them about like the pick and lift, or what do you call it?
Oh, yeah, so, yeah, there's different types, and Dave is one. The paramedics, they make the calls they make the calls as far as how we're gonna handle the patient generally. So.
Well, then let's let him do it.
That's not one of the hook comes to the deck.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you guys could stand there together.
The two bald guys. Yeah. So, yeah, there's different methods. We actually have a neat tool that we just got, and Dave has seen it. It's called the bender lift, and it's like a straight jacket, but it's got lots of buckles on it, and it allows us a purchase point or a place to grab onto. So we cinch you in, running around your legs, around your groin area. It's not comfortable,
It's like a
but
bodysuit with handles.
and then we go, bring the gurney over, and we go like this. So, but it helps us pick you up, because one of the things that first responders are injured, back injuries occurred from some of our police department here years ago. We do lift assists, and as soon as one of them got hurt, guess who picked up the fire department? So, and then the patient's number one. We don't want to drop you guys because we don't have a good hold on you, and you fall and hurt yourself. So the bender lift is something, and they're not cheap, but they're worth every penny, because it saves backs, and it helps the patient get up, and then we can take that thing off you and get you on the gurney and get you to the hospital if you choose to go. Dave says you can. So anyway, Dave McKinnon, everybody, from Shasta.
So real quick, Dave McKinnon, Mount Shasta Ambulance. I'm a paramedic and a field supervisor, so I kind of get to do all the above. We run about 6,000 calls a year, and of those, a little over like 560 of them are dispatched for falls. So kind of 1 in 10 for us is a fall. The biggest thing is getting the resources, I think, and getting the equipment that you guys need: walkers, canes, bar handles in the bathroom, stuff like that, and then using them. It's easy to get up in the middle of the night, get out of bed, and be like, I'm just going to the bathroom, but then you're gonna fall because you didn't have your walker or your cane. And when that happens, if you guys don't have the life alerts like Jerry was talking about, and you're alone, you're gonna be on the floor until one, either you can crawl to get to a phone, or you can yell loud enough that your neighbor hears. When your body sits on the floor for that long, it's almost like if you were to start a really big workout. Your body almost kind of shuts down, and it goes into what we call rhabdo. And it's basically all your muscles and everything is overwhelmed and not able to work anymore, and it's shutting down. And that is simply just from being stuck on the floor. Along with that being stuck on the floor, if there's an injury, it's going to compound it all and make it worse. So I think the biggest thing for me is to get you guys walkers, canes, hand holders in the bathrooms, and be able to use those things. And I know that some of those resources are actually here today to be able to reach out and grab them. Other than that, I mean, I pretty much don't have a lot more to say.
Yes, you do.
Oh, I do?
You have.
I do.
We're gonna talk about that.
Okay, all right. So,
You can just touch on it.
so conversations with family. The biggest thing is make sure you guys are talking to your families about what's going on. If you're at home and you don't feel like you're safe all the time, let somebody know. They can always help you. You know, we do go out for lift assist, like Jerry said. If you feel like you're gonna fall and you're on your way to the bathroom and you're stuck on the edge of the bed, call us. We would rather come out and help you than have you fall and be stuck there all night and possibly break something.
And you can down arrow one more time.
Because when you don't, you end up with a bunch of injuries. It looks looks like this was this a knee and a femur?
This is, yes, one of our members fell last week or the week before.
Last week.
She gave us permission
Okay.
to use her x-rays. You can
So-
see she broke the femur above her knee replacement.
Yeah, and as you can see, that's a lot of hardware in there. And when you guys, when hardware starts getting introduced into the body, it doesn't last forever, let's be honest. Things start to go bad, screws come loose, and then if you fall again on that, it's gonna be an even bigger risk of injuring it further, having to go in through, and not to mention the time, the cost, and everything else. I mean, recovery for this type of stuff is months, even potentially up to a year, depending on age and how well you heal.
This,
Being weird,
yeah,
you
she
know?
fell just tripping on her step walking into her house like we do a million times.
And that's the thing, it takes nothing to trip and fall. I mean, we have people that trip over just a threshold, just like that, from going from carpet to linoleum. You know, it's something just as simple as that. So just be careful and watch your footing and try not to rush.
All right, so I'm sure we'll have questions for you at the end.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you. Okay, a little humor while Jake gets set up. Can't read. Fitness experts, can you see it? Can you read it to them, Jake? Just in case.
Fitness experts say your muscles need plenty of rest between workouts. Your last workout was 7 days. So, a lot of you probably already know me from the Y. My name is Jake Williams, and I'm the lead trainer here, which means that I supervise the other personal trainers. I help with their clientele relations and with their programming and all that. I'm also a fitness instructor, and then you've probably seen me cleaning filters, vacuuming, doing whatever. I also do maintenance here. But I've had a 16-year career in personal training, the majority of which my time was spent with rehab patients and osteo management. So I've done a lot of sports training, things like that, but the majority of the clientele that I have had has been 50 and older. So starting off, it's a little gloom and doom right now, right? Like, you know, these falls are gonna happen, whatever. It's a little bit scary, but that fall might not happen tomorrow, right? It could be a few years from now. So what do we do in those years, right? How can we prevent potential breakage or the fall in general? Even if you do have a walker or a handrail, will you have the strength to hold on to that? Using a walker can be fairly taxing on your upper body. So I'm just going over some strength training and osteoprevention, getting some information from the Mayo Clinic, which if you go on mayoclinic.com, they have phenomenal resources available as well. And they even have like workouts that you can download, right? And an extremely reliable source. So their top 4 recommendations to prevent or to manage osteo issues of any kind. We have strength training, which includes just the strengthening of the muscle, but also building muscle, which nutrition feeds into that as well, which that's a different Wellness Wednesday. We'll get around to that. Okay, weight-bearing aerobic exercise. So any of you who take Jen Higlin's class, the Light and Lively, any of that, being able to move while doing load-bearing things, right? Flexibility in the muscle, not to be confused with mobility. Mobility is the range that I can put my shoulder through. Flexibility is being able to hold on to something and stretch, okay? Both are important. And stability, if you're able to actually balance, right? Strength training and bearing weight aren't gonna be great if you don't have the stability, right? So we kind of work with those things first. All of our classes would be tremendously beneficial. Personal training would be great, meeting up with somebody to go over these. So going over those 4 components, there are 3 basic styles of exercise. Well, weight bearing, strength training, balance. We have push, pull, and hinge, okay? Anytime that we're pushing or squatting, that's a push. Picking something up, that's a hip hinge, or pulling something to us, right? We have a fall, but we don't have the strength to grab onto something and pull ourselves up, right? Or we fall and we can't get up off the ground because we have no hinge ability, okay? So, body weight squats. It says dumbbell presses, but really any type of press, either overhead or in front, something that we can do with machines, free weights. You can grab half a gallon of milk, whatever it might be, you know, anything at home. Lat pull down, so any type of pulling motion from overhead. Most of the time when you fall, it's not going to be easily accessible. You're going to have to reach high and help yourself up. And then, like I said, a hip hinge, anything here, right? So these are all components. They're all movement-based, real-world situational biomechanics, okay? We got to be able to get up from the ground. We got to be able to train for those situations, right? So, moving on, very quick demonstration here. Body weight squats, we're coming down, we are pressing to the floor, all right? Dumbbell press, overhead or in front, strengthening shoulders for pressing, pulling. Lat pull down is a simulation of a pull-up, right? And then we have a kettlebell deadlift, a hinge. It doesn't have to be weighted. It could be as simple as coming down, trying to touch the toes and coming back up. Many of us lack the mobility and flexibility to hinge over. Now, I deal a lot with fused vertebrae, bulging herniated discs, things like that. A lot of sciatic. I myself have 2 bulging discs and a lot of sciatic issues. So I do a daily regimen to manage that. I have had lots of trauma from being a kid and doing ridiculous things. So I know how to manage injuries on myself, but as well as other people. I deal a lot with shoulder injuries, and having the mobility to get your arm overhead, not just in front, but all the way over. Crack, did you hear that? So perfect example. We have to be able to work within those different modalities, right? So classes that we offer, Monday through Saturday, personal training, all of that, fantastic. We can work on strength, mobility, flexibility, stability, all of it. One thing that we're going to do is offer a free 30-minute personal training consultation to everybody in the class. All you need to do is contact the YMCA. Jamie, in the next week or so, will be sending out an email to everybody with a personal training voucher. So we can just look for that email, and our 2 trainers that will be handling that is Kai, right behind you by the door. Say hi, Kai. And then Kim, hanging out on this wall. They're both newer trainers coming on with us, but very experienced and very knowledgeable. So after class, if you guys want to hang out, chat with them a little bit, get to know them a little bit better, and if you guys have any questions, concerns about yourself or somebody you might know, they can absolutely answer some more questions.
And they could do a small group too, right?
Yeah, we can do group if you want to go with a friend. Absolutely, we can. So my bit's very short, so I think that's about it.
One more slide. Now, he's going to read that to you. We're going to take 1 minute to stretch because we're doing really good on time. So I want everybody to move their body a little bit. And while I go turn on the microphone, and will you read that? Will you read that?
All right. What exercise equipment should really be called? Treadmill, Swearmaster, Nordic Trick, and personal training. I agree with most. Yeah. All right, guys. Stretch break.
Coming back down. Stretch break is almost over. Okay, so we're doing well on time, so that's good. We might be out here at 12 after all, but we'll start asking questions. So again, I'm Jamie. I'm so glad you're here, and because for some reason my notes section isn't working, it turns the whole page and I can't cheat. I have to read. I'm not like Jake, I can't remember the whole thing. So what I wanted to say in the very beginning that I failed to because my notes were hidden is why are you here today? I know. It's a different fall. Well, I mean, beyond the obvious, it's like dropping out of our head and into our heart. It's like, why are we really here today? Because if you think of it in terms of life and your life values and what you love and what's important to you, think of it as your life, your precious life, right? Because falls with or without injury, as we know, severely and heavily impacts our quality of life, right? Not only for the individual, but for their families and for society, right? So really, I would argue that fall prevention is not the answer. It's the strategy to the answer, right? The strategy to the answer, because the answer is living a full, productive, happy life, doing the things we love to do for as long as we can do them.
Amen, sister.
Right on, Diana. Okay, that's what I was going to start with, but evidently it wasn't meant to be. So here we go. Hippocrates, he's been telling us about, lifestyle. We've known for over 2,000 years that we really need to move our bodies, right? And I love his quote where he says, if our body parts are left idle, they become liable to disease and premature aging. So, what I love about everything that we've talked about today is that movements, even in small amounts, is beneficial in every single way, right? And it's recommended as a preventative measure, right? And it's something that I like how Jake said, I've got these issues, and he's a young man, and he's dealing with it now because he knows that that's how he's going to age well. And speaking of aging, so we've got this trajectory of aging, and so it's kind of cool. We have a lot of control over how we age through our lifestyle choices, and the question here is, what does your age trajectory tell you about how you will spend the rest of your life? And this chart is really cool because it's got the top line. Both lines go through 3 stages of life: early life, adult life, and older age. And that top line shows you if you make conscious choices and you really take care of yourself, then you can stay functional longer, right? And you won't drop off, but then sometimes lifestyle choices, or maybe sometimes through no fault of your own, right, due to injury or illness or something, things go down. But this just shows you, I think this is a really, really great tool in visual for showing that disability threshold. And I think that, we all know, I know I'm preaching to the choir saying that all of our systems are completely interconnected feedback loops. And we know this, we know that the food equals mood. What we put in our body totally affects every part of how we feel, how we function, how our brain works, as well as how much sleep we get. Sleep deprivation is one of the #1 fall prevention risks. Getting up, like Dave was saying, in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and we need to, right? So having things in place, and maybe even if you don't need these items now, maybe just having them in place, or maybe you know someone who may need them. And social interaction is super important for helping to alleviate or help alleviate anyway, depression. Depression in seniors is a huge, huge mental, medical problem, for lack of a better word, right? And when you use your mind, when you're engaging with others, when we're socializing, it keeps our mind active. And speaking of our mind, I absolutely love these visuals. The one on the left is from the Mayo Clinic again. These both are showing the first one on the left is a PET scan by the Mayo Clinic. The one on the left, depressed, and the one on the right, obviously not depressed. And it shows on the depressed side a lack of activity, a lack of neural connections going on. And this can be caused by all kinds of things, but when we're depressed, it really is. It's lack of color, it's lack of all the brights, and the darks are taking over, the blues are taking over. That saying, like, I'm feeling blue. When I see this picture, I go, yeah. And then just, again, to kind of drive home the fact that exercise increases our ability to think clearly and to use our critical thinking. This study by the University of Illinois found that just 20 minutes of walking, the students taking the same test, they did a composite drawing of the results. The people on the right had, after a 20-minute walk took the test, and their brain was way more ready to get all the answers correct. And I think that, or at least to do our best, and in our situation, playing, like, even the exercise bingo that you were talking about, what do you call it?
Bingo size?
Bingo size. Exercising while you're thinking is better. They both enhance one another, as long as you don't trip and fall. Yeah. And so, these visuals, I hope these are just like, really getting in there, because the aging process happens, right? We know, like with the osteo health, with the bone health, what Jake was talking about, eating properly and the bone density, we want to keep our bones strong. The bones, every cell in our body, but I'm just using the bones for example, they are constantly regenerating, right? They're constantly regenerating. People don't realize that with a bone because it's hard and it doesn't seem alive, but they are alive, right? And they are constantly breaking down and building back up from the center out, right? And if they're not receiving any training, weight training, or any type of stress, good stress, then the result is brittle bones, right? And same with our muscles. This is sarcopenia. This is brought on by poor nutrition and lack of exercise. And it is as you can see, it's derived from the Greek word sarx, flesh, and penia, loss, the loss of flesh. Think about that for a second, the loss of flesh, right? So when we think in terms of exercising, and a lot of times, I think this, unfortunately, for women, especially in weight training, there was kind of a thing for when I first got into this business in the 80s, and women were like, oh no, I don't want to bulk up. Oh no, I can't do weights because I'm going to bulk up. And it's like, that's very rare for a woman to bulk up. You have to work really hard for that. And then there are exercise barriers, we call them. Some people are very, very afraid of, just like that cartoon, you walk into that weight room and you see that equipment, and it's like, where do I put my foot? What do I do? How do I strap in? I'm even intimidated walking in there. That's why trainers are, and I'm a trainer too, but I just really like yoga. So, just the mat, and you're good. But truly, the other barriers to exercise for so many people, and especially in my clients who I've trained through the years that were older than me, would say, I grew up in an era where I wasn't supposed to break a sweat. I was not, right, Norma? I'm not supposed to break a sweat. Or I want to, we hear this all the time, I want to get fit before I go in there. Or, unfortunately, because of what kind of society has done to us, we feel like we have to have the latest, greatest clothing to walk in the weight room. We have to have our Lululemons on, you know. And I really love Costco. They have a really nice set of pants that's just like Lululemon for $15. Anyway, but you know what I mean, right? There's a million reasons why people say or have these barriers to exercise. Another one we hear a lot, and this is why we do what we call a PAR-Q to see what someone's attitude or behavior is toward exercise, is we hear all the time that they didn't get picked for the team at 12, and that's still in here. It's still in our head that we're not good enough, right? I'm not good at sports. You can't do that. I can't try that. And I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. You can try it, and you can start slow. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Start slow and move up. And then other barriers to exercise. Just think about that, what yours may be. And remember why you're here today. Right? Because knowledge is power, but action is transformational, right? I mean, we can take all the knowledge we learned today, and that's awesome. But action is transformational. So I love this the SAID principle, which is an acronym for specific adaptations to imposed demands. And I know our personal trainers are just like, you know, right on. This is a great word. You're probably going, what? But think about Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was Mr. Universe, before all this stuff happened. But you know, the muscles that he had, right? His body adapted to the demand placed upon them, right? He lifted some heavy weight all the time to make that happen. And then conversely, think about a couch potato. Someone who lays on the couch a lot. And if this principle is true, if my body is going to adapt to the imposed demand placed upon it, and I'm a couch potato, I'm going to have a good thumb. My thumb muscles are going to work like really well. But if I were to fall, I'm probably not going to have the upper body strength to pick myself back up. And that's what these gentlemen talk about. They get to someone's house. 14 hours, I think you said one guy laid there one time, 14 hours.
Longer than that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one example, right, of many. And so if my body, you know, if I don't have upper body strength, I'm not going to be able to pick myself up after a fall. If I don't train my brain with balance and force and power and quick moves, I'm not going to have that intelligence in my brain and my body. They're not going to have this communication and this knowledge to this muscle memory to catch myself, you know, to throw my foot out there, right? That's why we practice as these girls. I drive me crazy. I go, okay, we're doing clocks, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you know, and we're all over the place, right? And then we do also, I mean, the other thing about couch potato is if I haven't strengthened my legs, like all those hinge movements that Jake was talking about, and squats, and just the whole thing, your core, then even if I can get my foot out there, once I do, are my muscles going to be able to hold me up? Do they have the strength, right? And so this is why we're here today, so that we can be happy. Fall. You can even practice. We haven't done it yet, so I don't want to say we. But a friend was telling me about their fall prevention back east, of course, and they actually get up on the kids' mats in the gymnastic area, and they practice falling. They practice rolling. You know, you start slow, right? But anyway, just things to keep in mind, just tips for you today to go, oh my gosh, okay, I can do this, I can do that. The other thing is I used my models, Cece and Carolyn. I didn't get to put, I'll send this in the email that I send to all of you, the follow-up, because I had a little bit on my plate this week. But doing partner moves, exercising with somebody, because I know exercise for many people is a 4-letter word, or it should be, if you think of it that way, right? There's gotta be another word, but anyway, but doing partner exercises, and I can send you a few ideas on that. The other thing that makes it kind of fun is like naming your move. Like if you love James Bond movies, and I don't know if you remember For Your Eyes Only, right? You could name your squats For Your Thighs Only. Right? I mean, so, and then today when you go home, or today when you get up, when you get up, I challenge you to go 2 or 3 more times. Like just get up once or twice or 3 times. Maybe 5. Unless you took Jen's class, then you're clear, because you already did that today. So this said principle. And then finally balance, oh my gosh, okay. So I could stand here for hours and hours and talk about the importance of balance training, gait, proper walking, shoe wear, footwear I should say. Fear of falling is huge. Fear of falling, we stop walking properly and pushing off. We're supposed to roll through our foot, push off, use our butt, that's what our butts are for, to propel us that way, right? Forward? Well, for other things too, but you know, and then when we stop using our butt muscles, what happens? They start to flatten and go away, right? And then we don't have the ability to walk properly, to stand properly, and we have all these postural deviations as a result of all of our habits, right? All of our habits. Habits are good sometimes, but sometimes they're not. So speaking of balance, we have a Tai Chi instructor who is up in Ashland, and he already came down and did 1 Tai Chi class for us here. He's willing to come, once every month or 2, but the really neat thing, he's just an amazing human, and he has online Zoom free Tai Chi, and I'm gonna hook you up with that resource as well in my follow-up email. And we also recommend yoga or any other balance training program, or at the very least, try to do your own balance training with doing, a little wobble a day. Like we call it a wobble a day, keeps the brain in play, and a wobble a day keeps the doctor away. Like you can just hold on to something, balance on one leg, and just kind of wobble. Just kind of do it to get the crystals up here in your inner ear working, right? So really, I'm just going to close by saying thank you for coming. We really appreciate you being here. We really hope our vision and our dream is to have this kind of a meeting combined with the county and what they can offer, and other entities that also want to join us, and having a fall prevention exercise program like Balance and Bones. And that's future, we're talking, months down the road. But in the meantime, make sure you, we've got flyers all around the perimeter for PSA2s back here. Just info about the Y is under the clock. And then in the corner by Kathy is information about our personal training services, and a couple other little things, how to get up after a fall. I used my movie stars Cece and Carolyn for that, or Carolyn actually, Cece, sorry. Doesn't matter, I need to close. So thank you for being here, we so appreciate you, and we will be sending an email. Questions, floor is open. Yes?
A question. I have a relative that a couple years ago had a stroke. She did not go through probably the exercise regimen she should have afterwards. She exercises very little. 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 She exerci And after listening, I see that she's probably extremely high risk of fall. I'm gonna ask you a big question. I mean, how do you start working with someone like that? What kind of resources would there be to start getting into what we've been talking about?
So that's a great question, and this is where, from my perspective as a trainer for decades, I would recommend that they seek a fitness expert of some kind, a fitness trainer, a personal trainer, someone who knows, and what I would really like to see in a case like that, I don't know, did everybody hear the question? Okay, someone who's fragile and frail, how do they start? And I would say start with a physical therapist, quite honestly. I think a physical therapist could say, here are the limitations, and now take that prescription basically to a personal trainer. Or they might, the physical therapist might be able to give them a couple of exercises as well.
But you can't get to a therapist without going through your doctor first, correct?
What I probably, we're seeing lots of nods. I haven't been to the doctor in a long time, so I don't know how it works anymore.
Well, if you're Medicare age, you can't just walk into it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
What you do is contact your
so that's
insurance
great.
or their insurance,
Yeah.
and then see who they would recommend as a physical therapist. And then from that, the physical therapist would do an analysis and see if they should have continued sessions or they just put them out and say, you need to contact a trainer. So they'll do an analysis first, and then, we go from there. So they might, require, hey, we'll do 3 sessions, 6 sessions, something like that, and then they'll settle on.
Well, okay, I understand that there's that legal, insurance thing, whatever. But I'm talking more about the mental step to be willing to do this. I mean,
Yeah.
are there resources, local resources available that can talk with people about getting them in the right mental framework, like you talked a lot about? You want to think of this as your life to make the best of it. Well, not everybody here, maybe not everybody in the world feels it.
Yeah, she does.
So-
Do you have the answer to that? Like, do you have services for seniors for mental health? Or the county maybe hand you?
I would say the county, if anything, I mean, we can offer all the education possible, and we can, print off and mail off everything that we can find, but it's gotta be their choice, so I mean, it's one of those things. where
That's
it's-
the thing.
It's just like going to AA or drug rehab.
Yeah.
It's their choice.
Yes.
They have to do it.
Do you have a senior fitness program already, like a weekly or monthly here at the library?
We have senior fitness classes. We don't have a program per se yet, but we have some amazing classes. Jennifer Higman teaches Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 to 11, and that's Fit for Life, which is, I want to call it an evidence-based class because to me it seems exactly like the evidence-based classes, but it's specifically for the aging population, and she uses weights, aerobics, and stretching and balance. And then on Monday and Friday, from 11:15 to 12, she teaches Sit and Be Fit. Another really great class, yes. And a lot of the people that go to the 10 o'clock class go to the 11:15 class, yes. And they use a chair for most of it, and sometimes standing, and you have the option to stand and make it more challenging if you need to, for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's fine.
John?
Is there a lift assist program in Yreka without having to call an ambulance? If a person falls at home and you can't get them up, is there a number you can call?
It's the fire department.
Fire department?
It is, there is no other, right now, there is no other avenue for that, so still call 911, and that's the best way to get us
And you
out
just say,
there.
no, with an ambulance, you just need to have someone that will help them.
Right there.
I'm sorry, gentlemen, missed your, the rest of your.
Then you can also say, I don't need an ambulance, I just need some help.
Correct, that's right. Yeah, and that's something we're working on, we're trying to, because as we said, you get up at 2 or 3 in the morning, you don't wanna have a fall anytime, but then, we're trying to get sleep, so we want to try to prevent all that through this, we'd rather come and take care of that then than, you know, have a worse outcome at, you know, hours later when you're, you know, you pretty much, you know, you're in a real crisis with that. Yeah, right now, that's the only one available. There is no Mediterraneans or anything like that, or anybody that will come out of the fire. Thank you, good question.
Yeah, that's great. Yes.
For this area, is there a best alert device that you would recommend?
Off the top of my head, I'm not really familiar with all the different types, Dave, you know?
I think it's life alert or medical alert.
Yeah.
You can also get, little watches that perform that same function.
Okay, I didn't know that.
A Google Watch can perform the same function as an alert. Google Watch. And an iWatch does as well.
If I'm flinging my arm around or something like that, or is it?
Yeah.
So here's our stars. So you're welcome to leave if you need to, if you don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you so much for taking it. Thank you to my speakers. This is so amazing of you all. Let's give them a hand. There's a wealth of knowledge in here. And you're welcome to hang out, grab your resources, talk. Yeah, or do some squats. For your thighs only. Right? Thank you. You're welcome. Pleasure.